Hello, sound nerds and voiceover people. It's good to have you along here on the Hempcrete studio build. You can see it's behind me, the big reveal today. We've moved in. Well, I've been watching the old videos at the beginning of this playlist and going over what I said at the beginning. And I always said it was an experiment. You know this is going, don't you? So, we took this empty shed. It was a complete shell, just a storage shed. We've raised the floor, put in some walls, done the whole Hempcrete thing, and it's now finished. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of it and show you what worked and what didn't work. Some things that didn't work. This is going to be a learning opportunity for everyone, hopefully. So let's go have a look. So the joinery looks lovely, and I'm really happy with how the joinery works. Got a bit of a digital lock on there. Heavy security, obviously. Welcome, welcome. Here's the studio. It's really fleshed out now, isn't it? So, welcome to the studio. This is how I've got it set up. We've got my desk right in the middle. One of the big things I always wanted to have with the studio was what they call the elongated triangle. So basically you want your speakers, X distance apart, and then you want the distance between that plane and your listening position to be more than X. So you can't be less than. So if I was to stand right in here between the speakers, that's not a good position for listening. So you want it to be further away, this listening position right here, than the speakers are from each other, if you know what I mean. So like an elongated triangle. Equilateral triangle? No, the other one. Anyway, so that's what I've got with these. We've got tannoy speakers. We've got tannoy, what are they called? Reveals. They're not reveals. They are Precision 8s on top here with the super tweeter, dual concentric cones, beautiful speaker. I love them. I've had them in the studio the whole time, but now they sound so much better than they used to. These ones on the bottom are actually Tannoy Gold 12s from about 1970 something. Hugely sought after on eBay. They go for, I don't know, lots of thousands of pounds. And they sound beautiful as well. Oh, someone sent me a message. So these are antique speakers. It's so interesting listening to the same technology. These are also dual concentric drivers. So the tweeter is behind this cone here. It's fascinating listening to the difference between vintage speakers and brand new speakers, because these are so clean and clinical, whereas these have so much more soul and kind of musicality about them. So it's really nice to have both of them to counterpoint different mixes and listen to on basically different stuff. Computer. We had a custom designed rig built. See this massive heatsink inside the computer. Can you see that? This computer is completely passive. So the fans in this computer don't turn at all. It's completely solid state. So when I turn it on, nothing happens. The lights turn on and there's no sound at all. So I can have the studio in the same room as all my gear, and it doesn't make any noise, which is fantastic because you get the grunt of a desktop PC, but you don't have the inherent noise that comes with a tower PC usually. Providing my amplification is an NAD amp down the bottom here. Which is also surround receiver, because you'll notice I've got a center speaker in there, so I can do surround mixes if need be. What else can I tell you? We've got the super wide monitor, which is good. I've experimented. I had a Yamaha 01V desk here to do some routing, but I've actually discovered that what I've got at the moment works best, which is having two separate audio interfaces chained together in a clever way, so I can do Zoom calls and play things back in the session. I'll do a separate video on that in the future, because that's really worthwhile if you've got a voiceover studio and you do a lot of stuff on Zoom. Having the ability to play back in the session is kind of becoming kind of a standard these days. One of the things about the studio I really wanted was for my Neumann U87 to sound good. It didn't sound good in the old room. The room just wasn't quite soundproof enough all the way around. I had the 416, which is this mic, and it's so directional, it didn't really matter. because this mic just picks up from the front of the mic just this way, nothing around the sides. Whereas the Neumann, you'll see from its little pattern indicator here, on cardioid, it picks up right around the sides and a little bit from the back. So unless your room is completely dead all the way around, you're going to get sort of reverberations, which wasn't the case with the 416. But now I can offer my clients a choice of the U87 or the 416 because they do have subtly different characteristics. But I'm sticking with the U87 at the moment because it does sound fantastic in this room. We'll go into sort of maybe my the audio workflow a bit. There's a few electric pianos. There's a Rhodes stage piano there, and there is a Wurlitzer jazz organ, which are actually on loan from a friend. There's a big couch going there, which is going to look amazing. There's the award shelf, of course, which is very important. These are all LIFX lights, so you can make any of these lights any color. And this one at the top, this beam, is fantastic because like you can make any part of it any color and even animate it. So you can really set the tone of a room. It's like whatever you want. Like that lamp over there also changes color, as you can see. So if you want energized, you put them all on kind of bluish, like white light, and you get really energized. Or you can have a really mellow, like color mixy kind of a thing. I'll take some video at night as well, so you can see what the effects you can get. So what doesn't work about the studio? Well, so the whole idea was to build a studio. Out of Hempcrete because it's this amazing wonder acoustic material. And so I'll just clean the lensy. Oh, there we go. So, and it is a wonder acoustic material because like if you go back here, like it's so dead, it just sounds beautiful. It sounds like a much smaller room because this Hempcrete is soaking up all the sound. But what it's not that good at is at certain frequencies, it's not very good soundproofing because I'm getting a lot of noise coming in, like cars going past. I can hear them quite clearly just coming straight through the walls. Hence me putting these green Ortex panels up to try and stop some of that noise coming through. Without those, it was like coming through like quite a lot. And like on the dividing wall here, where we didn't have any outside cladding, it's basically transparent. And I was a bit worried when we were doing the drying of the Hempcrete because I put a fan behind there to dry the other side. And I came in here and I was like, I can pretty much hear that fan straight through that wall. And the warning bell should have gone off then. I should have actually aligned something or done some tests or something, but I bloody didn't, did I? I went straight ahead and thought she'll be right, but it isn't exactly right. It's not the end of the world. There's some remedial stuff I can do. The ceiling is the biggest problem. Remember how on the ceiling we've got this like live tin roof on the top with like sheets of tin, nothing under it, just building paper pretty much. So whenever like hard rain hits that roof, it just vibrates. It's really loud. And that sound is just coming straight through the ceiling. The rafters, I didn't really think about this at the time, but the rafters here, these black strips are actually the A-frames that make up the roof. So because the roof is tied to those, anytime the roof is making noise, it's getting transferred directly into my ceiling. Like if you wanted to transfer sound from the roof straight into a room, you do exactly this because like these things make up the structure of the building. So it should be a completely separate thing. Like the floor, the ceiling should have been suspended, and possibly that's what I'm going to do is put like if it doesn't work to stop it at the source of the roof, which I'm going to try and do by putting stuff over the roof to stop it being able to vibrate or to break the fall of the rain, then what I'll do is suspend the ceiling underneath or put some insulation in the ceiling. But there's a bunch of things I can try, and I will try because we do need to fix this. I mean, as it stands, it's as good as my old studio, pretty much. And so I do have more space. It looks way cooler. My mics sound better, and definitely the sound treatment sounds better. So I have actually gamed up in that sense. But soundproofing wise, I thought I was going to be able to like have cars going past, thunderstorms, sheep outside not being disturbed, and that's definitely not the case at the moment. Like I'm still having to work around sounds, which is not ideal. But it's a work in progress. It was always an experiment, and I've learned a lot. So maybe don't go and build a hemp studio just out of Hempcrete right just now. Maybe I think what would be ideal is to put some kind of hard, heavy surface on the outside, like something like bricks, or I don't know, something that's really kind of like thick and weighty, and then the Hempcrete is a brilliant treatment, and it's brilliant as an intermediary, and not like primer. You can't just use it for soundproofing; it just doesn't have the performance, unfortunately. But nevertheless, it's still a beautiful space to work in, and I'm really happy with basically how most of it's turned out. Just not quite as good as I thought on the soundproofing front. Anyway, I'd love to hear your comments underneath and questions and anything, keeping the conversation going. And I think I'll just add to this channel every now and again with any improvements I make. But thanks for joining me on the journey. And like I say, if you want to continue the conversation, ask questions, anything, just go right ahead down the comments and share this with other audio people who you might think is interested. You can share the playlist by going to the actual playlist thing and sharing that, or just individual videos. And you can find out more at TobyRickardsVoiceover.com if you ever want to find out about me and the voiceover stuff. So yeah, it's been good to have you along, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys.